Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Not going to waste time with a long intro. We're going to go ahead and get right into this. Somebody called me today and they said, Kevin, I need to ask you a question. Curious, what should I do? My rent's coming due. So today is November 16th, 2023, November 16th. And he's saying that his rent's coming due, obviously, on top of Thanksgiving and holiday shopping, Black Friday sales, this, that, and the other. Expenses, spending, money going out the door, this, that, and the other. But he knows he doesn't have the money. So the question is, should I try and borrow the money to pay my rent from someone? And I hope that this conversation didn't start off with asking to borrow it from me, because I ain't got it. But the alternative, the second option, would have been to pay with a credit card. Now, interestingly enough, the reason why that even came about, which is really, if we really break this down and think about it, there's a reason behind it, and I wasn't really thinking about it at the time when I was talking to him, but here it is. The apartment complex that this person lives in has now begun offering the ability and opportunity for renters to pay with a credit card. Now, we know, because we talked about this on previous videos and live streams, about how much these credit card companies make and earn, the banks make from these merchant processing fees on credit cards. So it's all fine and good for the credit cards, because every time you swipe, they make money. But from the apartment complex's standpoint and position, well, it's a benefit for them, because they know that if their tenants don't have the cash to pay their rent, then that puts them in a precarious situation of potentially having a delinquent tenant and facing eviction. However, if they add the ability and option for them to pay with a credit card, then this helps alleviate the stress and the problem, allowing the apartment complex to begin collecting their rent, or continuously collecting their rent without any disruption or delay, and putting the burden onto the credit card company. Now, with that being said, I would be willing to bet that if you begin to pay your rent with a credit card, your apartment complex is probably going to take note of that, and there may be some obstacles that you may face in the future when it comes time to renew. Just thinking, I'm projecting here down the road of how this could go. This is literally them collecting information and data from you without having to ask you questions that they technically can't ask you, which is, can you afford to pay your rent? Which I would think that if you could afford to pay your rent, you would pay your rent in cash, or with a balance transfer, or a check, or however you would do it that wouldn't incur any additional costs or fees, versus using a credit card. Now, the reason why I say that is because in order to use the credit card to pay the rent, there was a processing fee. There was a processing fee of a percentage, and the percentage was relatively high. Now, this percentage would probably outweigh any potential benefit and gain that you would see in return from a credit card offering any sort of cashback or rewards. Maybe if you had a brand new credit card that offered an introductory bonus for transactions, you might be able to offset it, but it would really just cancel it out, basically. But the thing is that I think this is a telling sign for the current situation that a lot of folks are facing with how our economy is, where apartment complexes are now entertaining the idea of allowing tenants to pay their rent with a credit card at a high percentage fee. Now, the other thing with that is, in my opinion, the fee shouldn't be really that high. And what they're charging is a roughly more than 3 times the normal percentage for processing fee, which then tells me that these apartment complexes have figured out a way to maximize the return on their investments and actually pull more money out and profit more by increasing the fee for adding this convenience or this option to prevent people from going into delinquency and facing eviction. Now, this is literally putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound and trying to drink from a fire hose, basically. Like, eventually, this is not going to last. This is not going to hold very long. Now, I don't condone using credit cards for these reasons, and you guys know that I'm done with credit for the foreseeable future until things change. But odds are, with the way that economists are talking, we're not going to see any real change until midway through 2024 at the earliest. So right now is the time to really just kind of like batten down the hatches, buckle up, Be as frugal as possible. Be as minimalistic as possible. Live broke. Live poor. Live as if you're below the poverty line. Live paycheck to paycheck. I know a lot of people out there are tired of being broke. They're tired of living paycheck to paycheck. They're tired of being poor. But I'm going to tell you right now, for those who aren't and don't want to become broke, poor, and living paycheck to paycheck, starting to live that way is definitely going to help prevent that from being the potential future that awaits ahead of you. There's countless instances and evidence of what's going on and what's happening. And if you find yourself in a position, or potentially this person, my thoughts would be, you got to keep a roof over your head, okay? But you also have to realize the implications of your actions. What if this, then that, okay? So if you don't have the money to pay your rent in December 1, it's due. If you don't have the money to pay your rent, we shouldn't even be having the conversation about holidays, Black Friday, shopping deals, Christmas gifts, and all that, travel, vacation, and stuff like that. We shouldn't even be having that conversation. But if you can't pay your rent by the 1st, and then you're going to use a credit card, the credit card is going to cost you more than your rent would have cost you by the 1st. So what strategy and plan do you have coming up in December, or towards the end of November, or however, whenever this is coming to fruition, that's going to get you out of the hole? Because essentially, now you're in the hole and you're just digging yourself deeper and deeper into this hole. And every time you toss that shovel, you're literally just throwing dirt on your back. Like, now you're about to bury yourself in this hole that you've dug. So, short, simple, quick, and easy answer to this would obviously be what we've talked about before. But I think it's going to vary and differ for everybody in their own unique situations. Now, if this is a one-time, one-off occurrence, you do what you got to do. You grin and bear it. You rip that Band-Aid off, and you pay the fee. You don't incur any possible negative, delinquent, or derogatory marks on your credit. You don't ruin your renter's history, and you maintain a place to stay, a roof over your head. But there's got to be an active plan and strategy and solution moving forward to make sure that, okay, come January 1, I'm not paying my rent with a credit card, and I'm not facing eviction because I couldn't pay my rent at all, or my credit card was maxed out and I couldn't pay it, yada, yada, yada. Now, the reason why this is so important is because the last thing I would want to do going into the holiday season and going into a new year would be going into it with enormous amounts of debt while facing the likely possibility and potential of losing my job. So with the amount of layoffs that are happening left and right, and the increased costs that we're seeing by the minute, then going into the new year buried in debt, unnecessarily, more than likely, because of how the last 2 months of the year plays out and people just overspend as a tradition, so to speak, then I don't want to go into the new year behind the 8 ball, backed into a corner, painted in, behind a rock and a hard place, only to then have literally my worst fears come crashing down on me all at one time, where I lose my job and I don't have any safety net to fall back on because I don't have any money. I've used my credit card to float and get by to pay my rent. I'm facing eviction, and now I'm totally screwed. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not telling you guys what to do. I was just sharing with you this particular situation, this instance that may actually be more common than I may have originally thought, but also expanding on it as I'm sitting here talking to you about it, about a few things that I didn't think about. So now, when I'm done recording this, I'm going to call him back and let him know some of the thoughts and opinions I had about it. But basically, if he called me asking for this advice, I feel, it's my responsibility to provide as much information as I possibly can. I can't tell you what to do. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I would share with you my thoughts and opinions, what I would or wouldn't do, and ways to avoid these situations moving forward. Now, debt is going to be an increasingly growing problem. Credit card debt, consumer debt, spending debt, and there are some simple ways to overcome these obstacles that are placed in front of us that we've discussed before. There's 5 simple ways to do it, and most importantly, I would make sure that 2024, I definitely have at least two sources of income, not just one, at least two. Okay. I got off the phone with a buddy of mine, Chris. You might have seen him on a live stream last night, and we were talking about that. And he's putting together a plan and strategy for a lot of the agents in his office to help them plan and prepare for the forthcoming year and changes that may affect them in real estate. But hopefully to a point of which they don't affect them so terribly bad that they wind up in a very dangerous situation and are facing extreme financial hardship. So I think we all need to be planning and preparing for what's coming and what's happening based on what we know, what we see, what we've seen. History repeats itself. History seems to be repeating itself more often and more frequently and a little bit faster and shorter intervals. And each time it's worse than it was before. Okay. But as always, if you guys want to know more, feel free, drop a comment, let me know, hit me up. You know how to reach me. You know how to contact me. And until next time, you guys take care, be safe. I'll see you real soon.